Welcome to Type C Tech Reviews. Today we're going to be unboxing the Vizio Quantum Pro. If at any point during the video you want to check out this exact same TV, there's Amazon links below for the US, UK, Canada, and international links. But let's get into this. This has some cool stuff that I'm actually wary of. Like, I'm not sure if it's quite legitimate, but I guess we'll see. Like 240 hertz when you're at 1080p if you are using a PC. But 120 hertz with all like consoles and everything. I'm not sure if it's actually gonna do that, but that will be pretty cool if it does. So we're gonna test that in the full review. Subscribe below, but we're gonna do the unboxing, initial impressions, and a gaming test today. All right, now that those straps are undone, I think we're just supposed to pull up. All right, I'm gonna use some help to lift this up. All right, so after we lift off that top, we got a few things here in the top. Here is the stand. What an interesting looking stand. All right, look at that stand. That is a unique stand. You don't see that every day. Okay, so this is either, I think probably the left stand, maybe the right one. But I will say these are right in line with all of the competition, maybe slightly better. I mean, this is a solid piece of metal. And then we've got a little box back here, and I think this is probably like the remote and everything. The remote, we got some Duracell batteries, and I am interested to see this remote. I know this has Vizio's own menu system. What an interesting looking remote. I don't hate it. It's pretty small. It's got some like bump around the edges for all of those buttons. Wow, buttons actually feel pretty good. Nice clicks, rubberized buttons all around except for that center in here, which is matte black. It's got kind of like an indentation, so it's nice for your hand to hold. Yeah, pretty good. Fairly light, but the batteries aren't in it. I think this is actually my first Vizio TV. I don't think I've ever done a Vizio TV before. Pretty easy battery placement, so that's in there. With the batteries in, we've got a mute button over there. That's interesting. So you have mute, and then you have the volume up and down. That's kind of low key. Not gonna be great for elderly people because some of those things are super small. But yeah, looks like a nice remote, and it's a little bit heavier in hand. I like it. All right, then we've got the power cable right in here. That's nice. And then we've got 4 screws for the stand itself. But with that, let's get to the panel. All right, with that, I'm gonna take off this top piece, which I will say, it's a little bit straightforward with like Hisense and other brands like TCL as well. And that includes like Sony and LG. It's a little bit of a more difficult unboxing experience. So there we go, that top piece off. Now, interesting part here is that this is actually telling you to use the bag's handles. So the TV is in a bag and it wants me to pull up with these handles. I'm gonna do what it says. Ooh, that doesn't feel right. But I guess it works. Bag's ripping slightly, but it's out. All right, now that it's in the bag, I'm gonna lay it down. First, I'm gonna see if I can take this off. Not too hard to take it out of the bag, which is a very interesting statement with a TV, but we're gonna lay it down this way now. And like I always do, I'm gonna grab 2 pillows and put them under there so I can put the stand on super easily. All right, now we're gonna install these stands. It does say front right there. I think it doesn't matter like left to right. I think these are just the same, which is cool. It looks like they get pushed in here and that's how they stand. That is so interesting. So this actually makes it a little bit difficult to actually get in there because I have to screw from underneath there. So that's not as easy. Does this mean we can actually adjust the height? I'm gonna put that in. Okay, with those screwed in, super stable. I was actually a little bit worried there, but yeah. That thing's not going anywhere. Okay, so there is 2 different stand heights. You can either do it all the way in or you can do it there. Now that is cool, that is interesting. So you just have to press it in and it will go in. All right guys, and there we go, everything's on it. Now I'm gonna take this TV off and we're gonna put that Vizio on there. We're gonna do initial impressions of, well, how it looks and everything. We're gonna go through the ports and we're gonna do a gaming test. Now with it up there, let's take off the plastic and see how this panel actually looks, because I've heard that it's matte finish, and well, matte finishes typically decrease picture quality, clarity, and a bunch of other things. That's why most TVs are a glossy finish. All right guys, with everything off, it actually isn't like a matte finish. I was expecting like a gaming monitor's finish, and this does still look very glossy, so they must mean anti-reflective, like maybe some film, but it's probably not gonna do much when compared to normal monitors. But this looks great. It's a really good looking TV. I like that you can do that different height with the stand. You have a physical power button over here. It's kind of underneath there. And then the Vizio logo is over in the right, which I really do like. This is metal down here. So this is a very solid piece of metal down here. And then you do have metal around the edges, but it doesn't look quite as premium as like TCL or Hisense. You kind of have a gap with the panel. You can actually see, if you see in here, you can actually see a gap that the panel is. So that's not super premium, but overall from a distance, normal viewing distance, it looks like a very nice TV. All right, so power's on the left, Ports are on the right. I'm gonna quickly plug this in. All right guys, get the power plugged in, but now let's get the essentials, the PS5 plugged in. Looks like the TV's coming on immediately, so let's check out those ports really quick. All right, so we got 4 HDMIs there, one that says 4K 120, and that's like the gaming one, and then HDMI 1 is the eARC. I'm assuming that that 4K 120 is also gonna be that up to 240, then we got our optical audio, antenna, Ethernet, and then a USB 2.0. And looks like that's all the ports. Do we not have a 3.5 millimeter audio out? That's quite interesting. All right guys, now let's go through the setup process. I just wanna say, coming from like Google TVs and even Sony's and other things like that, like LG, Sony, this looks pretty dated, just the menu screen, but we'll see how it is. All right, I got it connected to the internet, and right now it's checking for updates, but I will say, I haven't actually used this menu system before, so I am interested to use it, but so far it definitely looks dated. But if you actually can get 240 hertz on PC, that might not be a deal breaker at all. All right guys, continuing on with the process, didn't take too long to update, but now I'm gonna create a Vizio account and go through this process. All right, there we go. It's been added to the account. We're gonna pick living room. And there we go. I think it's all set up. All right, so this is the setup. It actually doesn't look too different from like Fire TV or even Google TV. So, ooh, that's some lag. Yeah, there's definitely some lag here. It's not as fluid as Google TV, but it looks like it's getting faster here. Okay, now it's getting a little bit faster. Not as fluid as a system as Google TV. Okay, so that's a little bit more laggy, but obviously this OS will have to be in the full review because I'm gonna use this every single day and see how it is to actually use. But the image, like just of looking at this, it actually looks really, really good. I'm gonna turn the sound down, but the colors look really quite good on this. But the one thing that I'm noticing right away, and I believe this is actually a IPS-based panel, not a VA-based panel, so I do believe I mean, that contrast ratio is not great. I don't know if the local dimming is on. I know this does have local dimming. Let's turn that on. So we have picture mode over here. This looks very dated, but again, not a huge deal depending on who you are. Let's go to all settings. Yeah, this just looks super dated. Still fairly responsive though. So it's in bright. There's a calibrated picture mode, a calibrated dark picture mode, a game picture mode, sports, vivid. I do like that it shows you what it's changing here. We're just gonna keep it in bright. Although Vivid looked like it was brighter for sure, just because it looks like the color temperature is changing, which totally makes sense. So the brightness here, we're gonna keep that at 50. We have the different color temperatures here, warm, cool, and normal. Okay, we're gonna go to advanced picture settings, and we're gonna go to active full array. We're gonna turn that to high. Okay, so now let's kind of check out how it's looking. This does seem to make this area look a little bit better, but I know this doesn't have a ton of zones, and it's not super competitive with its zones because it's an IPS panel, even with local dimming on. However, I can say, if this truly does 240 hertz on PC, that's going to make some people just buy this for sure. All right, let's check out what this looks like, and I'm gonna tell you right away, the picture on this, where the blacks aren't amazing, the picture on this I'm actually really impressed with. The viewing angles are great. When compared to a VA panel, which is what I've been using for a long time, primarily, you can see here, that is beautiful. I think this actually, in some ways, looks quite a bit better than the TCL Q7 in terms of these colors. These colors look incredibly good, and they don't look oversaturated, not to a massive degree. I'm sure it's not super, super right in terms of its accuracy, but the viewing angles are great here. So if you are into sports and everything, from this angle, the colors look great. It doesn't look washed out. This is a very good looking TV. I mean, you can absolutely tell in these dark areas, right? That's not absolutely black down there. That's not super deep, but the picture is still very, very good. I think a lot of people will be really impressed with the picture on this. I'm very impressed, especially when just doing the Hisense U7K and then the TCL Q7 and using the TCL Q7 in between reviews. That's just what we're using right now. This I'm really impressed with. Brightness looks great here. I'm not getting pretty much any reflections from where I'm standing right now. I mean, reflection handling looks great. It looks very bright. Just visually, I'm thinking probably around 650 nits full screen brightness. That looks fantastic. I am impressed with the colors. They're not kidding. It's a good idea to call this the Quantum panel because it looks great. It really does look great. The colors look fantastic, but that's enough talking. The colors look great. We'll turn on the sound, see how it sounds really quick. Quite loud for only 14. Let's turn it up. Gets very loud. Some rattle at very high volumes, but I will tell you, really quite loud. That's impressive. A lot of these newer TVs are just not having great loud sound systems. It's not great, but it does get loud. So if you have a big room and you don't want to get speakers, maybe you're just listening to sports, totally fine. This is going to work for that. It gets very loud. Still really impressed with the viewing angles, obviously because it's IPS based, and really impressed with those colors. That is huge. You're not going to get those deep blacks. Don't expect that here. Let's try some gaming. All right, guys, right away, I wasn't expecting it to, but it actually switched automatically to the PS5 once I turned it on, and that actually is not something that I expected, so that's pretty cool. I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm more of an angle on this TV, and this is typically where I sit to test these out. The colors are fantastic here. The viewing angles are truly awesome. So if you are looking for maybe better colors and better viewing angles when comparing to like the TCL Q7 or the Hisense U7K, we haven't done a review of the TCL Q6 or the Sony X85K, but we are going to be doing those very, very soon. These are kind of all in the same space, similar gaming performance. This has fantastic colors, really impressed. Let's hop in game, see how this thing does. So we can see on a screen like that, where you're getting a lot of black, it's still in daylight. It's going to be nice and dark. Where you're really going to notice it is in a really dark room. And we kind of see those big local dimming panels here. See, this panel's coming on right here, but it should only be here. So not great local dimming. You can see that again right here. We have the local dimming coming on. Local dimming is not great here, but for an IPS panel, you're absolutely going to want to keep it on, and that's just something you have to deal with. Okay, you're going to see the local dimming is on. Is that a deal breaker? Well, it might be, it might not be. All right, guys, jumping into the game, I'm getting a reflection from one of the studio lights we have on, but it's very, very minimal. And look at these colors here. The greens here, it's very bright up there. We're getting that 120 hertz. This TV makes this game absolutely pop. Definitely a little bit oversaturated, but in a game like this, that's kind of what you want to just enjoy the beauty of it. Obviously, if you're a purist, you might want absolutely the most color accuracy, but I am impressed. As far as input lag, I'm gonna play a little bit more before I make a judgment on that, but God, I can't get over how good the picture quality is here. I am really impressed. I honestly was expecting not to be super impressed here, but I am thoroughly impressed for sure. Look at the blue. The saturation of the blue is beautiful. Viewing angles are great. I sound like a broken record, but I wish you could be here. Look at that blue water. I mean, really, really, really great quality on the picture here. All the way up there, look at the sun reflecting off. I really, really like this panel. Honestly, was expecting not to like it as much because typically I prefer VA panels just because of that black level that they're just gonna get better. And once I saw the local dimming zones were kind of weak, but man, this is a very compelling TV, especially with that 240 hertz, which we're gonna have to see in the full review. We're not gonna test that today, bring the PC over, but that will be tested. We'll see how it's gonna do. God, beautiful games like this absolutely pop. I'm impressed. I'm impressed. All right, that's probably enough gaming. Overall, first impressions, I was expecting not really to like this. When I looked through the stats, this kind of misleads you, but no, this is definitely a TV to consider, even though it doesn't have that amazing black level. Yeah, definitely something to consider. All right, again, if you wanna check it out, Amazon links below, review coming in a few days, but this is Type C Tech Reviews, and I'll see you guys in the next video.